All right, everyone. Welcome to the By the Minute MMA podcast. I was wrong. My name is Jody Jamieson. I said for a long time that the Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather super fight was not going to happen, and here we are. August 26th is the day. T-Mobile Arena is the venue. I'm joined by Nathan Waywell, who's my normal MMA cohort. How you doing, Nathan?
Hello. I'm good, thanks. Good.
And Ali Sarge, my good friend and a boxing aficionado here at By the Minute, has joined us as well. How's it going, Ali?
Hello, I think boxing aficionado stretching it, but we'll go with that.
We'll go with it. So yesterday it was announced that this fight is official. It is going to take place, like I said, on August 26th, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. It's going to be a 12-round boxing fight, 154 pounds with a standard 10-ounce gloves. Ali, what's your initial thoughts?
I'm much like you, was actually kind of taken by surprise with the announcement. There has been a lot of noise about this, obviously, but I was actually quite sceptical that they would ever reach an agreement. I thought there was going to be too much stood in the way in terms of contract negotiation. As you mentioned, things like the weight class, the weight of the glove, purse share, all these things I thought would eventually just trip this up and make it too difficult to get to. So, I am a bit surprised that we have found an agreement. I'm not overly enthused by it for a number of reasons, to be honest. But we cannot deny that this will grab a lot of attention, and that is exactly what this is designed to do.
Yeah. And Nathan is the one man who had faith that this was going to happen. Do you feel vindicated?
Slightly, yeah. But I'm sort of regretting now the fact that it's happening because it will just dominate like all the boxing matches which happen in the next months now, but MMA, UFC, like pay-per-views, whatever, it's almost going to always be second now until this fight's over, I feel, because in any combat event now, this fight will be mentioned, guaranteed, on the TV. And anyway, I'm not sure what's happening with the TV yet. Fingers crossed it's on BT Sport, and Sky Box Office don't make you pay like £100 to watch it, probably, but you know, if it's so, because I'm not really sure. So I think it'll depend on who's running the fight. Where I'm not sure how they'll come to an agreement over in the UK as to how people can watch it. But nevertheless, it'll be over here no matter what. But I'm pretty sure it'll be pay-per-view, so I want to get as much money as possible for it.
I would imagine it'll be along the lines of Mayweather and Pacquiao, to be honest. UFC aren't really co-promoting this. Obviously, they will be promoting it, but they're not officially co-promoters. This is a Mayweather production, so I've just punched the mic already. For me, I would be pretty confident this will be on Sky Box Office at a price of about 20 quid.
Yeah, I reckon so. Although Floyd recently had his Voyager Vonta Davis fighting in London with Frank Warren and Box Nation, so obviously which comes under the BT Sport banner. So I don't know what sort of relationship was built there. That is possibly a potential. BT Sport obviously as well have UFC, so I don't know. It could be competitive. BT have got a lot of money to throw about. They might throw a fortune at this and try and do some sort of box office event of their own. But I suspect Sky Box Office will probably win out on this.
I'd imagine so, especially because I think that the idea of this will be to break the combat sports pay-per-view record. Obviously, the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight a couple of years ago smashed the record at 4.6 million buys. I think round about 2 million more than De La Hoya Mayweather did, and that was at a $100 price in America as well, which is a crazy price for a pay-per-view. Do you imagine that the American audience are going to go, or the American pay-per-view audience is going to be a $99 price tag again?
Yeah,
potentially. I think
because it worked last time, they'll go with it. So, anyway, about this fight, I suppose we should talk about what's actually going to happen in the ring. I'll give a brief discussion and then I'll throw it to you guys. Now, I think my most frustrating thing over the next 72 days or whatever it's going to be is that I think there is a massive part of the MMA community that is not only going to think that Mayweather can win this fight, but is going to outright predict, McGregor can win this fight. I think a good majority of the casual MMA audience to the hardcore MMA audience will predict that Conor McGregor is going to win this fight by knockout. And I feel that if you take a step back and truly analyse this fight, it's not to say that McGregor has no chance, because everybody has a puncher's chance, especially someone with a striking background, but I don't feel it's rational to come to the conclusion, if you're taking all bias out and analysing this properly, that Conor McGregor's going to win this fight. What do you guys think? I'll start with you, Ali. What do you think?
I completely agree. I don't really see much chance for Conor McGregor. You called it a puncher's chance. To have a puncher's chance, you've got to be able to land a punch. And guys like Ricky Hatton, Oscar De La Hoya, Canelo Alvarez, Manny Pacquiao, these are guys who spent their entire life training to become world-class boxers and couldn't lay a finger on Floyd Mayweather. I struggle to think how somebody who is maybe given the past year of their life maybe can suddenly transition and start to tag Floyd Mayweather with shots. Especially somebody coming from a striking background in MMA, and when you watch an MMA fight and you watch the way that guys throw punches, they throw from a greater distance, and that's usually due to the risk of being kicked or being taken down. In boxing, you don't have those risks, so you tend to trade in probably a lot closer than you would in UFC. Now, if Floyd Mayweather can see punches coming from highly skilled boxers from a closer distance, what is he going to be able to do with Conor McGregor's punches? Obviously, we expect that McGregor will be working on closing the distance. He'll be working on a boxing style. But as he begins to tire, as the rounds go on, as the legs get heavy from trying to chase Floyd Mayweather around the ring, from trying to catch Floyd Mayweather, at what point do those instincts of just throwing from his natural position, what he's been used to, kick in, and he starts throwing punches from a distance that Mayweather just sees coming a mile off? And to me, I think Floyd Mayweather will toy with Conor McGregor for the large majority of this bout.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, because I think that I actually went back. It was on Saturday, actually, because I was watching the Auckland card in New Zealand, and it was scheduled to start at midnight, but in the end the fight fell out really late, so it didn't start till 12:30, so I had a bit of time to kill, and I thought, I'm going to go back and watch an old fight. And I ended up watching, it was the Ultimate Fighter 1 finale from 2005, and it was Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner. And it is actually really funny to go back, because that was a phenomenal fight. But it's really funny to go back to, say, 2005 and compare it to 2017 in terms of the skill level of the striking in MMA. And while it has completely evolved since 2005, it is still, to me, a good few tiers below striking in actual boxing. And while McGregor's definitely towards the top level of strikers in MMA, it is just a completely different ballgame. It's like, I don't want to do cliched arguments, but it's like asking a rugby league team to beat a rugby union team at rugby union. Yeah, they tackle the same, yeah, they do this, but there are so many different codes to it, and to be honest, I don't think that analogy does it justice.
No, I think this fight will be a fight where it'll start, the first couple of rounds will be electrifying, everyone will be up on their feet, and then slowly but surely you'll see Floyd Mayweather start to get the fight into his rhythm, because no doubt about it, Conor McGregor's going to come out swinging for the hills with, with 72 days or so, like you said, build up for this fight. He'll come out, he'll be well up for it. Floyd Mayweather will be like, look, you can try and hit me, beat your own. He'll be like, just going for it. And I can't see him getting barely a contact good enough to send Mayweather to the floor, to be honest. So, but after the first couple rounds, it's going to be one of those fights which a typical Floyd Mayweather fight where it's like grinding teeth, basically. Just slowly, surely gets a bit boring, and McGregor will get frustrated, and he'll start swinging more and more, get more tired, and Mayweather, who knows, may even knock him, TKO him in one of the latter rounds.
Yeah, the interesting thing with Floyd Mayweather as a boxer is that his record against southpaws, which I imagine Conor McGregor is going to be as a boxer, is that Mayweather tends to be a bit more offensive when he takes on a southpaw than he does against guys who box orthodox. I don't know if he will take the fight to Conor McGregor early. I don't see that. I think, as Nathan said, I think McGregor's best chance comes early on, and I expect that he will really try and land something meaningful early doors. But it will be interesting because Floyd Mayweather usually is a lot more proactive in his offensive game against a southpaw. So whether we'll see that in this fight, I don't know.
Is there a possibility in this fight, and I know boxing judging can be as dodgy as anybody, as anything, but is there a possibility in terms of the scorecard that Conor is going to come out like such a madman in the first round, and Mayweather is just going to be like, I'm just going to avoid this guy and tire him out, that McGregor could actually win like a 10-9 in the first round just by pushing the pace without really landing anything? Possibly.
You're also going to have three guys who have probably dedicated their life to boxing, scoring the fight. So
that's true.
Don't expect Conor McGregor to get any favours at all from the judges. Yeah. So I don't think aggression alone will be enough for him to win a round. Judges, I think if he's aggressive, he's on the front foot. For all they're going to have to be neutral or they want to be neutral. I expect the judges to favour most of the things that Floyd Mayweather does.
Though in fairness, I think with the Nevada State Athletic Commission, you get a pretty big crossover of judges, because as far as I'm aware, like Sal D'Amato, Adelaide Bird, who's a terrible judge in MMA, and people like that do tend to do some boxing fights as well. So it might be a bit of a mix that way. So I guess we'll see what happens as we go, but. I find basically, and me and Ali spoke about this before we started recording. If McGregor does go the distance, I kind of feel that if he loses this fight 119 to 109 on the judges' scorecards, I feel like that's kind of a win for him. You know what I mean? I feel.
Oh, it'll be like the election: Labour have lost, but Labour have won, and Conservatives have won but lost.
It'll be like the Ruth Davidson deal up here, Ali. Their triumphant victories coming comfortably second.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
but I would agree with you. I think that would be a result for somebody who's never had a boxing fight to take a round off of Floyd Mayweather. That's like any one of us taking a round off of Floyd Mayweather. It's a massive. If he gets a round, it is an achievement.
Yeah, I'll be impressed. Like, basically, we've spoken about this a couple of times on the podcast in the build-up to this being signed. Basically, the conversation starts with me saying it's not going to happen, Nathan saying it is going to happen, and me saying Conor's best case scenario is to lose a lopsided and probably 120, 108. But in terms of Conor actually potentially winning this fight, it's really hard, like I said at the start, to build a rational case for how he's going to win this fight, and it's impossible to make the case that he's going to outbox Floyd for 12 rounds. His only chance is really going to be to win by knockout. And in terms of his punching power, while he may not have the technical prowess of a puncher like an Oscar De La Hoya or anything, Conor is going to go into this fight as probably the biggest guy that Floyd has ever fought in terms of just weight. And is that really Conor's only chance, is just to be the biggest guy possible and try and use his size and reach to get to Floyd?
I think so. I think that's the most realistic aim, because if you look at overall, like I said earlier, he'll come out and he's just going to go for it. And I'm pretty sure that'll be his game plan. Like you see in his UFC fights, he starts big, and usually in the UFC fights he gets, knockout first couple rounds, but then again UFC rounds are 5 minutes and boxing are 3 or 2 minutes, whatever, so etc. So that's the thing. So it's hard to compare the two, I guess, but at the end of the day it'll still be what happened. But like you said, his weight, it could have quite a big effect, I think, because I mean, the power's there, no doubt about it, for McGregor. The power to knock anyone down to the ground, whether that's a boxer or an MMA fighter, is there without a doubt. And maybe perhaps, and apart from Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua is basically an animal. But anyway,
at his normal weight class, yeah.
Yeah. But, anyone in McGregor's weight class, he can easily knock down. But that's the Mayweather will be worried about, and I'm sure he'll be doing practice in the Bellator's fight, like maybe almost not taking hits, but preparing for. He'll probably like sparring with someone with McGregor's weight, I assume. Someone with a bit more weight and a bit more power.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Floyd Mayweather might actually be sparring with Badu Jack, who's one of his own boys.
Right.
The likelihood is he'll maybe be in there with somebody like that, who's a bit bigger, a kind of taller, rangier fighter. So he's not going to be short of guys who want to come and spar with Floyd Mayweather. He'll have plenty of options. It's a massive experience for boxers to get in there and spend a bit of time with Floyd Mayweather. As well as punch and power, though, I think maybe McGregor's biggest asset to this fight could be his unpredictability. Floyd Mayweather's a boxer. He's used to boxing guys who have spent their career boxing. He's probably used to kind of expecting what moves they're going to do, where they're going to go in the ring. Conor McGregor doesn't have that background, so perhaps the fact that he'll be a bit more unpredictable, his movement will maybe not be quite as orthodox as a boxer's would be. He'll maybe come at slightly different angles than a boxer would. Might just throw Floyd Mayweather off, and as much as punch power, that's something that could be McGregor's biggest weapon in this fight.
The interesting thing about the unpredictability, like you say, and especially creating different angles, is that in MMA, creating unorthodox angles is always effective. But in some ways, it's always effective because you always have other threats. You always have takedown threats. You always have kick threats. You always have grabbing a clinch threat. So creating different angles and a lot of different things potentially coming at you can make things quite interesting. Now, I'm kind of under the train of thought that if Conor McGregor spends the next 3 months trying to be the most basic boxer you could ever find, then that's going to hurt him, because it's like the Moneyball scenario, if you've ever seen the film, when Brad Pitt playing Billy Bean says, because of the massive financial disparity, if we behave like the Yankees in the scouting room, and we're going to lose to the Yankees out on the field. And in some ways, I think Conor McGregor has got to harness that unorthodox style, and he's really got to think, you know what, I'm going to treat this like MMA striking. You know what I mean? I'm not going to kick the guy, obviously. I'm not going to grab a Muay Thai clinch or anything like that. But I've just got to give him something that he's never seen before. And I think these like, it is going to take a perfect storm for Conor to win this fight. And I feel that him becoming the most paint by numbers boxer possible over 3 months just to try and get himself ready for this fight would be a big mistake. Obviously, there's a lot of boxing things he's going to have to learn, but if he keeps just creating similar types of angles he would in MMA, he might be a harder puzzle for Floyd to solve than he really should be.
You see, I think that McGregor, I reckon he hasn't got 3 months. I reckon he's been practicing. I reckon he's known in himself this fight has been happening for a good 3 months already now. So I reckon he's probably been preparing it, because he hasn't got any MMA fights for the next 6. He had this kid, etc. So he knew he wasn't going to have to prepare that. So he may as well he's probably doing bits of boxing here and there. So he's probably already got a head start over what most people think. Like, most people probably think he's starting today or whatever, but I reckon he probably started around New Year time, I reckon. Or maybe perhaps a few weeks after UFC 205 at MSG. So it could. So it depends how well. I'm not sure. Is he using the same team he would use for MMA fights, or is he getting a boxing team for it?
Well, he'll still be training at SBG in Ireland, but obviously they'll be drafting in people from all different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, they've done that in McGregor fights for the UFC. They'll do it for boxing as well. They've brought people in with different striking backgrounds. They've not always just brought in, we're going to be working on striking for the next 2 weeks, let's bring in an MMA fighter. They've brought in boxers before and stuff like that, and I imagine something similar will happen.
Conor McGregor did have to gain a boxing license for this fight as well. So, I mean, that would have required pretty significant training because they don't just hand out licenses left, right, and centre. There's pretty kind of rigid analysis that's got to go into that about safety and about somebody's ability to compete in a boxing ring. So he must have gone through a decent amount of training before he even signed up for that license. He probably just carried on as soon as he had that license. So he's not going to be going into this in a couple of weeks' time, with a few weeks' training. He has put a bit of time into this.
Yeah.
But this has been Floyd Mayweather's game for 35 years, so.
Yeah, couple of things on that. One, I have the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and then taking away the money arguments. Are the Nevada State Athletic Commission wrong to sanction this fight?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think the idea of a 49-0 boxer versus an 0-0 boxer, regardless of the MMA background and the numerous fights, I think it's malpractice, to be honest. But I think they were always going to do it because they know if they don't do it, someone else will.
Combat sports are dangerous. That's the be all and end all. They are dangerous, and being punched in the head for 36 minutes is very dangerous. And throwing a novice in against a 49-0 professional genius, to me, is a bit irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's not a novice in the sense of the word, but it's completely new to him. He is used to combat sports. He is used to dealing with physical punishment. He is used to being struck. But will he really have been on the end of the volume of clean shots that he's going to receive from Floyd Mayweather in this fight for a prolonged period in an MMA environment? Possibly not. Yes, MMA is dangerous in its own way, and probably in a lot of ways it's a lot more dangerous than boxing in terms of the fact that you can strike on the ground, you can use other objects or other parts of your body that can cause a lot of damage. But the volume of shots I think that he'll be expected to take in this fight, to me, is quite irresponsible. But I mean, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. But I think this is dangerous.
Yeah. There's a part of me that wonders if they were fighting at 254 pounds instead of 154 pounds, and Mayweather was a noted knockout artist, if this would actually get sanctioned. Because I think in their own minds they can get away with it a little bit because of the fact that Floyd isn't really known for his knockout power anymore. Not that he ever was hugely for his knockout power, but I think in their own minds they can kind of justify that by the fact that there is a definite train of thought that Floyd isn't going to finish McGregor. It's tough. It's tough.
In a way, the Nevada State Commission, in a way, they're vindicated by the fact that McGregor's been awarded a boxing license. And if he's awarded a boxing license, then somebody in a boxing capacity is happy that he is safe to operate in a ring. And in those circumstances, he should be capable to fight whoever he wants to fight.
Yeah.
But to me, it's not a great thing to pick up, and I don't think it's going to do Conor McGregor's long-term career prospects a lot of good, to be honest.
Now, in terms of MMA, I'll ask you about this, Nathan. How much, taking away the argument about UFC 213 and 214 and potentially 215 the week before, and the business that it's likely to do or the business that it's likely to lose, how much does this hurt MMA long term, assuming that Conor goes in and gets washed?
Hugely. I think all the big fights which the UFC have booked this summer are just they'll still be big, but they just won't get the coverage which they would have before, despite, so for example, Cormier Jones, not Cormier Jones, sorry, that's happening, and that's probably, in my opinion, the biggest fight which is happening this summer, I think, out of all the fights which are booked, in terms of should have happened at UFC 200 last year. Obviously, John Jones was a very naughty boy, and so that's going to be huge, but in terms of how it'll be affected, it'll still be huge, but in a different sense now, in the sense that it'll be more huge for it'll be big for MMA fans. It'll draw less attention from your casual MMA fans, in my opinion, because if the fight's room for, especially people in America, they'll if the fight's room is going to be $99 or $100 whatever, then all the American fans, combat fans, they'll be putting money in their piggy bank for McGregor Mayweather, not all these UFC pay-per-view events, because that's what everyone want to watch. So if the fight's that expensive, then I think the price of the pay-per-view for McGregor Mayweather will have a huge effect, in the sense that it could seriously hurt UFC if it's a big price, because people will pay for it no matter the cost. And if you don't pay for it, follow it on By the Minute. Simple.
What I actually asked, and I'm glad we were going to come back to that anyway, so we've done that. But what I was actually asking was, assuming McGregor gets washed in this fight, in terms of after August 26th, how is this going to hurt the sport going forward? Does it hurt at all?
I don't think it does, really, because it's not UFC. If McGregor got smashed by Mayweather in MMA, which would obviously never happen, but if it did, then it would hurt. But it's boxing; it's a completely different kettle of fish. Everyone knows McGregor's taking a huge challenge on here, and it's like a footballer. Pat, it's like Freddie. Bad example coming up here, but it's like, remember when Freddie Flintoff tries to box him from cricket? I know it's not that great of an analogy, but it's like that in the sense that people don't expect the fact that Mayweather is a heavy favourite to win this fight means it won't affect the sport that much. The UFC here can't lose, in my opinion, because if McGregor wins, great, look at us, we've got the best fighters around. If he loses, oh well, he's tried on some new, hasn't worked. He can come back to us and defend whatever belt he's, like the lightweight belt, I think, or whatever it is. He can come back and defend it, or try and win a belt back if he's had both vacated by then. That's what I was going to ask. Has he still got his belts?
Well, basically, Dana spoke yesterday, pretty much after the announcement was made, that he says that Conor says he wants to fight again in 2017, regardless of the outcome of this fight. Now, I'm sceptical, but if Conor has made a commitment to the UFC that he's going to fight again before the end of 2017, then it will be to defend the 155-pound title. So that's kind of, you can take that to the bank. I think there are ways that MMA can definitely take a hit from this, and I spoke about this in an article for another website, where I think that there definitely is a train of thought, and this goes back to more the sort of old guard of boxing. And I'm not even saying that they're wrong in saying this. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but certainly there's an old guard of boxing who were fans of boxing or covering boxing before MMA was really a thing. They believe boxing is the sweet science, whereas MMA is just human cockfighting that belongs on the streets. And I think a scenario where Floyd dominates this fight completely and Conor looks like a joke kind of embeds that stereotype for even longer afterwards. And I think that could hurt MMA a little bit, to be honest, but it's tough to say. What do you think about that, Ali?
I mean, as an outsider, to me, the biggest danger in this fight to mixed martial arts or to UFC is that Conor McGregor makes $100 million and then walks back to UFC and says, I'm not fighting for $5 million.
Yeah.
I'll get out of bed for fighting. And they potentially lose him to the game because there's just not enough money there to be made for him in MMA, or UFC aren't prepared to give him the sort of money that's there. And to me, that could be the big danger, is that if he makes mega bucks off of this fight, is he going to be satisfied with the paydays that he receives? And does he perhaps walk away? Or does he lose his enthusiasm, knowing the sort of revenue that he's able to generate?
Yeah,
well,
I think that's a fair point, Nathan.
Yeah, I was just going to I remember him saying basically some along the lines of UFC too. He basically says some lines of, "I'm gather a break from you. I have nothing more to prove there. I'm the greatest in there, and no one's gonna, etc., etc. Look at me. I don't need to go back and prove myself." So hopefully he'll turn back on that statement, or what, something along those lines anyway, and he'll fight again. I'm pretty sure he'll have one big fight, but if you look through it, you just can't see anyone which would generate that type of. Obviously, it wouldn't be a fight anywhere near the hype which this McGregor-Mayweather fight will get, but you still can't pick out a fight in that division anyway, which will get everyone's attention, especially after this big fight.
I think he easily can, to be honest, because Nate Diaz is a lightweight by trade. The rubber match of them is easily sellable. Tony Ferguson's won like 9 in a row. That's very sellable. They're both stand-up fighters as well. Who else is in that division right now? Habib Nurmagomedov, if he could ever get fit or ever turn up to a fight. Habib's 24-0 in his career. I think you could have. This is the type of fight where there's going to be more eyes on Conor McGregor than there's ever been before, and that can only help Conor's return to UFC if it happens. I had a look at Forbes to see what they thought McGregor made in 2016. Obviously, he had 3 big fights. He had the 2 Diaz fights, and then he had the Eddie Alvarez fight headlining in Madison Square Garden. And they predicted his earning potential in 2016 was between $25 and $40 million. And like Ali says, Conor's probably going to make $100 million in this fight. And the idea that he made, let's say it is $40 million. The idea that it took him 3 fights to make $40 million and he can make $100 million in a night in this freak show. What is the motivation to come back to the cage?
It's definitely not looking good for UFC, especially it wouldn't look good for the UFC, especially if. Because McGregor could win, he could go, I'll win this fight and retire. Like, I know he's young, not retire, but go for a long break and maybe do a boxing thing and come back in 10 years' time and get an even bigger fight. Who knows? But that's the thing. I can easily see McGregor if he in like odds, which probably, in my opinion, should be somewhere near Leicester when they won the league. It should be like if he goes and wins this fight, it will generate huge, like, everyone will look at him and go, whoa, and he'll go, look at me. That's the thing, because imagine if he won this fight, went back to the UFC, then lost, Abby, everything is gone, So if he wins it, no way will he be back in the UFC for a few years at least, because, he wouldn't risk his reputation like that, if you see what I mean.
As someone who loves to watch the world burn, I'd love the scenario where Conor beat Floyd and then lost in his return to UFC. That would be absolutely brilliant.
Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
So, Ali, in terms of boxing, Oscar De La Hoya was quite strong in his criticism of this fight, regardless of the outcome. Obviously, there was a little bit of damage that was done to boxing just with the Floyd Mayweather-Manny Pacquiao fight not quite delivering. And it took a little while to recover. Obviously, 2017's been a brilliant year for boxing so far. Is Oscar De La Hoya right to say that there's no good scenario for boxing here?
Probably, yeah.
Right.
I don't really see. I mean, this fight will generate a lot of interest from people who probably don't watch UFC or they don't watch boxing, but who are intrigued by the prospect of 2 guys who they've heard of. Or they want to see what happens here, but they probably don't have a great background in boxing or a great background in MMA. As a spectacle, this will not sell boxing to a non-boxing fan in my mind. Any Floyd Mayweather fight probably wouldn't sell boxing to a non-boxing fan because he's so much in control that. I mean, Floyd Mayweather is so good that anybody who knows boxing can appreciate how good he is. If you don't really know boxing and you want to see a real tear-up, you're not going to see it watching Floyd Mayweather because that's just not what he does.
Yeah.
He's so much in control of a fight that, I mean, he coasts through, or he looks like he's coasting through. Really, he's putting a lot of work in to make sure that he doesn't get hit or that he's keeping the other guy at bay. I don't think this looks like a great spectacle, and I think Oscar De La Hoya is right. I don't think this is going to attract any new audience to boxing. And then if the disastrous were to happen from boxing's point of view and Floyd Mayweather was to lose, it makes boxing look ridiculous. It just makes boxing, I mean, that record that he's stacked up all of a sudden just looks laughable, looks a joke. I don't think we'll get into that scenario, but I mean, if you want to know what boxing's all about, if you're not if you're not really into boxing, you want to know what boxing's all about, you want to know what the hype around boxing is, don't watch this. Watch Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev this Saturday night, or watch Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin in September. Then you'll see what boxing's all about. This bout doesn't advance boxing as a sport in any way, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll talk a little bit about the undercard in the moment. Well, what we'll do right now is we'll give like concrete predictions, and then we'll see how much we change our mind between now and then. I actually don't think we will change our mind. I'll start with you, Nathan. What's the outcome?
Mayweather TKO, 11th round.
Okay. Ali?
I think Mayweather takes him out slightly earlier, 8th round.
I'm going to go, and you know that way when someone just comes into your mind and it feels right. I'm going to go Mayweather in the 5th round from a towel stoppage. I think that's very possible. I think that's very possible. That when it becomes apparent,
I can't see McGregor letting his team run towel.
It's not up to him. It's not up to him. And for me, when I think it becomes apparent how far out of his depth McGregor is in this fight, they might just think, you know what, he's made his money and hoy it in. I'm not.
Do you think Dana White might stand up from the front row and watch the towel as he sees making cow getting battered all over the ring?
It'll be like Bret Hart and Bob Backlund, Survivor Series 1994.
One thing we didn't mention was, I mean, we all talked about McGregor offensively. What's McGregor like defensively? I remember Ricky Hatton talking about fighting Floyd Mayweather and just saying, you know, I didn't see his punches coming. He talked about Mayweather in one particular incident that Ricky Hatton's going to land a body shot to Mayweather, a right body shot. Now, if you're throwing a right body shot, obviously your opponent is defending the body, so the risk is that kind of right cross.
Yeah.
So what you're protecting as you throw that body shot is you're protecting against the right cross coming from here. So you're kind of, this isn't going to look great on a podcast, but if you're watching on YouTube, then you'll get a better idea. You're protected here, but you're open in this area. And what Ricky Hatton talked about Mayweather doing was using his left hand to block the body shot and then uppercutting with it. And Ricky Hatton said, I'd never come across anything like that in all my days. Somebody who was so quick and able to throw that punch through the guard. I mean, how does Conor McGregor deal with that? I think there's two sides. He's used to the varied offense of UFC, so perhaps he sees things coming a bit better, or he sees varied attacks coming a bit better. But he's also used to being able to kick his way out of trouble, grapple his way out of trouble, you know, and defend him when he's only got two hands that he can use to block anything to get himself out of trouble. How does he combat these Floyd Mayweather punches?
Well, the interesting thing is Conor has only ever once, in my memory in UFC, from what you mentioned, tried to grapple his way out of trouble and gone choked out by Nate Diaz. In terms of kicks, you're absolutely right, though. And what McGregor does is, in terms of defensive, it's very difficult because, like, the only times McGregor has really been tagged fighting in the UFC is when he's got tired. Early in the fight, the main reason that he doesn't get touched is because he's so good at controlling the range. He's so good at fighting from distance. He's so good at coming in quickly, striking, and coming back out. And that's because, in most cases, he's just been a far superior striker to who he's been facing. Now, if he wants any success against Floyd Mayweather, yeah, he's going to have to control the distance. But, I mean, who's going to control the distance this fight? It's obvious. And defensively, it's kind of a scenario where Conor hasn't really had to use it that much. Certainly when he went deep in the second Nate Diaz fight, a lot of his defensive work was more about, he was good at keeping his hands up, but it was more about trying to initiate a clinch and trying to turn him and trying to counter. A lot of the times Conor was trying to counter punch his way out of trouble as well. He was trying to just catch Diaz once and then slip out. And I know a lot of people said he was running in the later rounds of that fight, and I suppose in some ways he was, but what he was doing was he was just heading back to the middle and resetting. And that's the worry for me, but a fresh Conor McGregor, his best form of defence, it's not so much that it's attack, although in some ways it is. He's just been able to control the distance. We've never really got a good gauge of Conor McGregor's ability to defend with his hands in UFC, and that's quite interesting when you look at this fight.
I think that maybe gives more weight to your Conor putting a towel in prediction, to be honest, and that the minute they realise that he can't control the range, because that's Mayweather's game. And I would fancy Mayweather in any striking environment to be able to control the range of a fight.
Yeah,
and
me too.
He is an absolute genius at judging the range of a fight, judging the distance of a fighter's punches, judging where they're going to land and getting out of the way of them. And I think maybe the minute that McGregor's corner realised that he can't control the range, he can't find his range, and as his defence starts to fall apart and Mayweather starts to tag him, I think you could be right. I think they could see his corner pull him out.
One of the other things about McGregor's hands being up in MMA is that with the 4-ounce gloves, standing like that isn't always that great. Whereas he might feel just a little bit more comfortable with the bigger gloves, but I mean, you can't just walk around the ring like that for 36 minutes, you know. So, it's a factor, but I don't think it's that big a factor. The bigger gloves in terms of defending himself. You wanted to talk a little bit about the undercard, didn't you, Ali?
Yeah.
Alistair?
You just completely cut off, Ben.
All right, okay. Ali Sarge.
Yeah, sorry, the undercard.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen you speaking maybe about the potential of other crossover bouts on the card. I'm not sure we'll see that. There's a lot of big name boxers who will want a piece of this action and will want a slice of the money pie. I saw Anthony Joshua, believe it or not, speaking to Floyd Mayweather, saying he wanted in. You know, when you fight McGregor, I want on that card. Now, I imagine that his negotiations to fight Vladimir Klitschko in a rematch are probably at too advanced a stage that we would see him on this card. But what we will see is two very talented Mayweather Promotions fighters get in a spot because they're Mayweather Promotions guys, and we'll see probably Gervonta Davis, the young IBF super lightweight champion. Hope I've got that weight division right, probably not. I think we'll see him in the card.
So I don't know.
And we'll probably see Badou Jack, who was super middleweight world champion, vacated his super middleweight world title in order to move up to light heavyweight. I think there's a possibility that we'll see him get a world title shot in his first bout at light heavyweight just because of the magnitude of the card. I think you'll not see, Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev, they'll contest 3 of the light heavyweight titles this weekend, so you won't see them back in action. But the other light heavyweight title, which is held by Adonis Stevenson, you know, if you're a boxer, you want in on this card. So I think there's a possibility that we could see that fight come on the undercard. Another thing which I think hopefully we'll see on the undercard is that female boxing isn't really exposed on the big stage as much. It's made some good breakthroughs recently, but it's not something that you tend to see the big stage high up the card. And that's something that UFC fans are probably a lot more accustomed to seeing, is female performers.
Yeah.
And I think this is possibly then the mixed audience for this probably presents a great opportunity to give female boxing a great audience and a chance on a big stage. Interestingly, Floyd Mayweather recently signed Savannah. I'm going to forget her second name. I have to apologise for that. She was the Commonwealth gold medalist, English Commonwealth gold medalist in 2014. She's been a world champion. She's been a runner-up and a bronze medal in the World Championships. She is the only person to ever beat American Golden Girl Clarissa Shields, who won the middleweight world title at the 2016 and the 2012 Olympics. I'm just wondering whether these two girls might find a wee spot on the card. That to me would be, Shields is a big name in America, so she would be the selling point. And whether or not Floyd would back his girl to go and do the job again, I don't know. But I hope we see something like that. I hope we get a chance to see a couple of female boxers given a big stage and try and move that to the sort of level that we've seen the UFC being able to reach in its female division.
Yeah, I think two thoughts on that in terms of talking about the cross-promotion fights. There's going to be a lot of people who from UFC who throw their names in the hat for this. And I think it won't happen for two reasons. One is because they don't want a scenario where we have a bunch of boxing versus MMA and boxing and the MMA guys just get washed before the main event. And two, especially the people, if they find people who are worth putting on this card, it's going to be big names in MMA that they don't want to A, be hurt, and B, be unavailable for a fight a few months down the line, because MMA is going to have to get back on the horse very quickly after this because it's going to be a down few months. So I don't think it's going to happen. The names I was interested in for this card, I was actually interested in Anthony Joshua because I feel, and I don't know if you agree with this, as huge as his fight with Vladimir Klitschko was in the UK and all over Europe, I don't really feel like it caught the imagination in America. And I feel that Anthony Joshua still needs to make that breakthrough outside of Europe, and I think this would be a perfect opportunity for him. The other two names that interested me is obviously you're going to want to create something of an Ireland versus America dynamic, which opens up the possibility, like you said, of women's boxing, of putting Katie Taylor on this card, and the possibility of putting someone like a Michael Conlan as well.
Yeah,
that's possible.
I think Conlan's a shout. I think he knows McGregor reasonably well.
Yeah.
I'd expect he's probably working with McGregor in some capacity in the build-up to this fight. I know all he's done is fight in America so far, and he's been quite well received in America. So his is probably a name that will feature quite heavily. I think probably his name will be mentioned in a lot of meetings, I would imagine.
McGregor was at Conlan's pro debut. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember him cutting a promo on the media guys ringside. So. I do expect to see Katie Taylor and Mick Conlan on this card.
Yeah, but I think that's a very high possibility, I think.
Yeah. So
is
Holly
Holm a possibility?
Well, Holly's fighting on Saturday against Betch Correa, and
So
if she loses, it would be her fourth loss in a row. So she needs to get her act together quickly. I would love to see Holly Holm on this card, to be honest, but if she loses to Betch Correa on Saturday, then she is the biggest one-hit wonder in MMA history. But obviously, she has a decorated boxing past, so yeah.
Just wonder whether or not she'll maybe think if she loses on Saturday, then she'll maybe hang it up and go back to boxing.
It's possible. I actually think she will win on. I actually do think she will win on Saturday, but that's another debate for another time. We've lost Nathan just now. I'll try and get him back. So yeah, it's definitely interesting what's going to happen with this card. So yeah, we will see what happens. Do we have any other business?
Big names. There will be a few big names on that card. There is no doubt about it.
Do we have any other business?
I'm not so sure.
No. We've gone. How long have we gone? We have gone 48 minutes talking about this shit show.
And the thing is, that's exactly what this is designed to do. It's not going to be a great spectacle. It's not. I mean, we're kind of trashing it in terms of the way it's been organised, the likelihood or the one-sidedness of it. Yeah, we're all going to watch it, and that's all this is really all about. Is that they want people to watch, and they're going to achieve that. So fair play to them.
Yeah, I mean, I have no issue with the fight being booked in terms of, as obscene as the money is, it's good work if you can get it. So
yeah,
fair play to them. If I could make $100 million for 36 minutes work, I wouldn't give a shit what anybody said.
No, in fact, I would actively be looking on Twitter for people trashing me. I'd laugh it all up. I'd be delighted.
Exactly. Nathan's just messaged me saying his computer completely crashed, so that was the problem there. But I think we should probably start wrapping up anyway.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, the likelihood is that there'll be a lot more chat from us as this gets closer. So
Yeah, I think what we're going to try and do between now and August 26th is we're going to try and, maybe not weekly, but we're going to try and do something of a regular podcast. Obviously, myself and Nathan will be about from the MMA side. We certainly have more boxing people on the website. Obviously, we got yourself, we got Roddy Graham, we have Julia, we've got Matt Huggins. So there'll likely be a lot of boxing names, boxing people on the website who'll be taking part in the build up to this. So
you can call them boxing aficionados. That's fine. Nobody will sue you for calling them boxing aficionados. We best be careful with the Advertising Standards Authority and throwing that term around when they were talking to me.
Yeah. So what's more likely, before we sign off, what's more likely? Conor McGregor wins this fight or Ayr United win next season's Scottish Cup?
Ayr United winning next season's Scottish Cup is a lot more likely than Conor McGregor winning this fight.
Nice one, Ali. So, Nathan, if you end up watching this, thank you very much for taking part. I will drop
Cheers,
a message
Nathan.
anyway. And Ali, always a pleasure to catch up.
Likewise, speak to you soon, Jody.
So keep an eye on bytheminute.co for all the build to the super fight, and we will talk to you again sometime.